Namaste everyone, this is Dr. Manoj Kuteri from Atmantan Wellness Center in Pune. Today I'm going to share with you a very short video on fasting therapy. Fasting has been known to us and has been practiced by the humankind all over the world globally from time immemorial. Many of us know what the benefit of fasting and what it brings to you. By definition, fasting has been defined as the complete abstinence from taking any form of food or drinks over a definite period of time with an objective of healing. And that is what the therapeutic fasting is. In Sanskrit word, fasting means vrat, which means determination. Or it's also called as upavas. Upavas literally means near to God. Hence, fasting has a lot of implications, health implications, and it's been practiced by people all over the world. Let's look at the types of fasting. Based on the purpose, there are different categorization for fasting. Based on the purpose, it's been categorized as religious fasting, which is being practiced by most of the religions in India and abroad. It's also categorized as political fasting, which you might know, like about the hunger strike and things like that. Now, based on duration, based on the duration, it's been categorized as short fasting, intermediate fasting, long fasting, or it could be even intermittent fasting, and we will come to that later. And based on the food intake, it's been categorized as dry fasting or water fasting or liquid fasting, fruit fasting, and also raw dieting and things like that, which is not really a fasting, like based on, if you really look at therapeutic purpose, eating raw food and all those things, or even fruits, consuming fruits is actually consumption of calorie. It's not really a calorie restriction. So it cannot be considered as a fasting, but it's actually a form of dieting procedure. Now, let's look at one particular aspect of this, which is actually called as the duration of fast. The types of fast based on the duration. Okay, so let's come to the short fasting. Short fasting is primarily given for most of the people, and it is actually one of the most recommended form of practice, like even to be done at home. Okay, this is normally for alternate day fasting, or even 1 or 2 days fasting, 2 days a week. Okay, so this is actually considered as short fasting. And intermediate fasting is actually for a longer period, and long fasting is actually for even longer, like beyond 2 weeks period and things like that. Intermediate fasting and long fasting are always done under a supervision of a qualified naturopath or a wellness expert. Whereas short fasting and intermediate fasting, again, intermittent fasting, there are different forms of intermittent fasting. There's 16 8 hours fasting, which is basically 16 hours of abstinence and 8 hours of eating, okay, like, or eating within that 8 hours window. And also the intermittent fasting can be done like as alternate day fasting, like 1 day eating and 1 day fasting. Okay, so there are different forms. These details will actually just come to effect when you properly consult with the expert, and they will recommend you the right kind of fasting, because there are a lot of do's and don'ts as well. There are indications and contraindications to fasting as well. Okay, for example, like if you're diabetic, you can only do for certain kind of fasting, that too depending on the level of sugar levels. Now let's look at the benefits of fasting one by one. Fasting has been proven to be giving you like improved insulin sensitivity and better glucose tolerance. What it means, now you know that insulin secretion in our body is as a result of food intake. It's directly proportional. The moment you eat a calorie rich diet or a sugar rich diet, it triggers insulin production in your body. And diabetes these days are not considered as lack of insulin. Insulin secretion could be either normal, or it could be below, or it could be even above. But it's primarily because of an insulin resistance, which means the cells, there are insulin receptors on the cellular wall, and these receptors are not really able to bind with the available insulin, which means the cells are starving of glucose. And because of this starvation, it actually sends signals to the higher centers to produce more insulin. and as a result, like you have glucose spikes in your blood. So what fasting does, fasting reduces the need for insulin, and there is a better glucose tolerance as well because there's a better binding. So it is actually one of the best remedy for any conditions that are insulin resistant, which means obesity, diabetes, polycystic ovarian disease, and any other conditions where there is an increased insulin resistance in the body. Next benefit of fasting is body goes into survival mode. Like there is a reduced oxidative stress that happens like when you do fasting. Of course, you know that there's a lot of energy being utilized for digestion, and this energy can be now conserved for the purpose of detoxification and proper metabolism in your body. So your liver gets recuperated, your spleen gets recuperated, and your kidneys gets recuperated. So the three vital organs in your body gets repaired during fasting. So it's been known as a best survival mechanism in your body. You know that our brain cells have a capability of something called as neuroplasticity, which is either structural plasticity or functional plasticity. Your brain cells can actually regrow, and fasting has been proven to be improving the regrowth of your brain cells, mainly that are connected to hippocampus and also the brainstem, which is meant for memory. So fasting has been used as a great remedy for improving or memory enhancement. Next point is fasting helps you gain a lot of energy. It's been proven, there are a lot of studies that says fasting improves the production of mitochondria in your body, and mitochondria is nothing but is a battery of our body, which is a powerhouse of our body. So the more mitochondria, which means like there is more energy, which is one of the reason even after a longer fast, like 6 or 7 days fast, you feel much more energetic, you feel less fatigue when you wake up in the morning. Okay, and also you will be able to better manage your day-to-day activities. Another benefit of fasting has been employed as an anti-aging treatment protocol, and it's actually because of a process that is called as autophagy. Autophagy is basically a process like where your body goes into a auto or self-eating mode or auto cleaning mode. So a lot of one of the basic cause for aging is because of these glycation end products or complex protein molecules that are stranded in your system. So this needs to be cleared on a regular basis, and that is what fasting does, which is actually called as autophagy or self-eating. Okay, fasting helps in improving this autophagy, and this can actually help you as a reversal or slow aging process. Another most important function of fasting is it increases the production of stem cells, and that can contribute to your youthfulness. Okay, so not only this production of stem cells, but it also triggers the production of something called as insulin-like growth factor, and these are basically a component of your growth hormone, so that can actually just helps maintain the youth in your body. Another most important factor, like most of the inflammatory process in the body can be arrested by doing a proper regulated or guided fasting. And the inflammation is primarily as a result of one of the major cause for inflammation is the high sugar content of your system. And fasting can actually just reduce the sugar, maintain the sugar at an optimum level, thereby reduce the inflammatory process or mainly the epithelial damage. Like even in cases of vascular damage, intravascular damage. This can actually just helps in repairing the lining of your epithelial lining of your vasculature. Fasting is a great remedy for managing any form of tumor growth or even to prevent in the early stages of cancer, because we all know that cancer cells are they feed on sugar, and when you keep a very low sugar level in your system, because there is also a turnaround process that happens, your body depends mostly on ketone bodies rather than glucose when you do fasting, because there is a breakdown of adipose tissue. In the initial phase, your body uses like all the circulating ATPs, and then the body depends on the glycogen storage in your body, like which are basically muscles and liver and so on. And then third phase, when fasting is actually done for beyond a certain period, your body try to just shift on to ketones for energy, which are derived from the adipose tissue breakdown. Okay, and this is actually a great remedy for reducing the tumor growth in your system. Another most important thing is fasting has been proven to increase the level of antioxidants in your system, which are basically vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc. Zinc is also one of the major component of making a healthy immune system. So fasting has been proven to be benefiting you, like in increasing your immunity, and also producing a lot of antioxidants in your system, which can help your body to repair. And finally, your body will be able to cope up with your stress much better way, like when you do fasting. Okay, because there is no spikes of sugar, there is no ups and downs of sugar, because both lower sugar levels and higher sugar levels are equally bad for your system. When you maintain the sugar at an optimum level without any spikes, that can also help you in reducing the stress levels. Okay, these are some of the benefits of fasting. But remember, when you do fasting, you need to really take an expert guidance in terms of, like, you know, how to execute the fasting. It's easy to go into fasting, but only a person who is familiar with this kind of process would know how to start the fast and where to end the fast and how to end it. That is even more important, how you break the fast. You cannot be just like eating right away, because as you know, when you do the fasting, there's a lot of physiological changes that happens in your system. There's a lot of metabolic changes that happens in your system, and there is also a decline in the gastric juices, you know, like in your system. As you know, there is something called as gastroesophageal reflex. So the moment you start eating, like, there is some form of conditional reflex that happens in your body, which produces a lot of acids and juices. So when you do fasting, these kind of juice secretions actually just minimize. So when you suddenly eat, it might cause you ending up in bloating, distension, you know, like heavy stomach and things like that. So it needs to be the fasting needs to be broken in a very, very slow manner with a careful eating plan. Okay, so the most simple technique to do, like, you know, short fasting, like for maybe a day or two, would be to consume some form of citrus juices in the morning. Like, you know, one of the best thing would be either lime juice, half a lime squeezed in water, or you can even have one full glass of water with about 30 ml of or 25 ml of apple cider vinegar, or even 1 tablespoon would do, like, you know, if you have oversensitivity to acidic drinks. Okay, so that is actually something that you can do in the morning, or in alternately, you can even have amla juice, or even some herbal teas, or even cinnamon water. Okay, depending on the case, you can actually just like change it, or even cucumber juice, one of the best alkalinizing agent. And then if you are on a liquid fast, then the next juice would be, like, you know, breakfast time around 10 o'clock. And there you can actually take any kind of vegetable juice, but mostly thinner in consistency, so you don't really just like bulk up your body like with a lot of fiber. Okay, and then lunchtime you can have some vegetable clear soup without any fiber again, and so that you get, like, you know, some kind of energy as well and nutrients as well, like, you know, from the drinks that you take. Evening can be again a lime juice or even a herbal tea. Like, you know, you can make some excellent drink like out of the spices like coriander, cumin, and fenugreek, and roast all these seeds and then powder it and make it like a coffee or tea drink. And then evening can be again another soup or maybe a vegetable drink. And before you go to bed, you know, like, you can have again like a herbal tea, something like chamomile tea or something like that, which has a relaxing benefit. Okay, so that will be an ideal day fast with only juices. And next morning, when you break the fast, you have to start increasing the consistency of these juices, starting with some smoothies and things like that, and adding thicker soups, and then properly cooked vegetables, and then going on to raw salads and then grains. Okay, so that is how you break the fast very systematically. Okay, and you have to be very careful, like, you know, I mean, especially when you have a pre-existing condition, I would suggest you take a proper advice from a wellness expert and then do this protocol. Okay, but fasting has been proven to be the supreme remedy for controlling most of the illnesses and also to prevent such illnesses. Okay, please I mean, if you have any questions, you are free to just like ask me, and I will be more than happy to share my knowledge with you. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.